How do you speak in a way that sounds more natural and more fluent while still being understandable in American English? Well, today there's one technique that I want to talk about. Today, I know normally we take a look at pronunciation files, but today we're just going to try to answer this question to guide you in achieving a more natural sound. Good morning, guys. Good evening. Good afternoon. Welcome to your American English pronunciation review show, which is the Schwa Mill. We are here on Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays to make sure that you can get an idea of how to sound more natural in American English by listening to other people's files, hearing my feedback for them, and then making the adjustments to your own speech. To guide you in this process, there is me. Hello, guys. My name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath. That is one of the four keys to a natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath, and trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to give more space to your vowels. And today's strategy is going to do a lot of that. We got a question. This all spurs from a question that I got over the weekend. By the way, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Look at you starting your new year off. Already looking at pronunciation. What a great way to start the year. I got this question from the very lame me. I don't like that name. Like it. We got to work on self talk. But and going from that, question is: can you please make a video on the transition from R to flap to T, fast D sounds such as in the word portal and mortar? Thanks a lot. Amazing work as always. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you for the question. You guys can always ask questions that I can try to answer for you during these streams. Miss Biddy, thank you for being with us as well. Great to have you here too. My apologies if I mispronounced your name. Okay, so we had a question again about like words like portal and mortar. I'm going to look at that second word really quick, especially, but we will get to the first one. So when we're talking about this, we have these T's. The letter T is a very for people who are new to American English, the letter T is a very frustrating letter because there's so many different ways it can be pronounced. Today we're going to be talking about one of those strategies. This strategy is known as the fast T or the flap D sound. And this occurs when you have a T that has either a vowel and then a T and a vowel. So for instance, in a word like city, you see it has that I sound and that E at the end. This can also occur though when a T comes before an L. For instance, in a word like little, you see TLE. And this could also occur when you have an R plus a T plus a vowel. And one example of this is, for instance, this word mortar. Mortar, you have the R plus a T, and then it finishes with the vowel sound at the end. The way that this is pronounced can vary. Okay, there is some flexibility to this, but the most common way to handle these situations, like in city, in little, in mortar, the most common way to do it is to use what's called a fast E or flap T sound. Before we look at that, let's just kind of forget about the T. Because sometimes I think we get really focused on the concept we're learning and we miss the big picture. The big picture is we're just trying to say this word in a way that sounds natural, right? So let's just forget the T sound completely. Because remember, in American English, we don't really care about the consonant sounds. We care about the vowel sounds. So in the word, for instance, like mortar, there are two vowels here. You have an or sound and you have an sound. And let's talk about some other things that we know about words. Okay, so we know that words have a stressed syllable. In the word mortar, your stress is on the first syllable. So more. That means the second syllable is not stressed. And what happens when something is not stressed? We go down in pitch. We say it faster. We make it softer. We give it less time. So our basic pattern for this two-syllable word is a stressed syllable, unstressed syllable. Heavy, weak. High, low. These are all the things I know just by looking at the word mortar if I know where the stress is. Okay, and this is true for any word. If you find where the stress is, it gives you a lot of information. Okay. So the pattern for this word has to be something like da da What are some other things I know? I know that in American English, to say a word, I have to keep the breath flowing. What's up to Tom hanging out with us? And everyone's with us today. All right. What's up, Jose? Thanks for being with us. Starters. Jose's asking about the word starter. Same thing. Everything I'm talking about applies to all these situations. Okay. Yeah. So again, 2 syllables. Stress the first syllable. Second syllable not stressed. Your pattern is going to be da 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 da. Do you see that the breath keeps flowing? Do not stop the breath. It's not da da. It's da 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 da. Because why do we do the fast T in the first place? Why even do that? It's because it's going to allow us to keep the breath flowing with minimal disruption. We're going to sound much more fluent. Okay, so just practice doing that a couple times. Dud, 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 dud. Okay. Once you feel confident with that, and you keep the breath flowing, you don't stop it, and you hear the pitch difference, and you get the movement. Heavy first syllable, weaker second syllable. Once you have that, then we can start adding in our actual vowels. So mortar, 2 vowels. We have an or sound and then an sound. So let's try our sounds. So again, thud, or, thud, or, thud, or. Again, I'm not focusing on consonants right now. I'm focusing on vowels. Our first vowel is like an or sound. Second vowel is like an sound. Or, or. Let's add the M at the beginning. Okay, so again, thud, or, more. Now what we can do, once you're confident with that, so again, thud, or, more. Now what we can do is we can start to add that very, very light, fast D sound. What you can do is you can keep the tip of your tongue down. There's a lot of ways to do this. The way I do it is I keep the tip of my tongue down and just very slightly raise the back of your tongue. Slightly. Doesn't take much. Let's do our progression and see if you can do this with me. So, thud, or, more, mortar. Again, thud, thud, or, more, mortar. Okay. You can then transition from mortar to mortar. Try to do that a couple times. Mortar, 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 mortar. Trying to practice that sort of progression. Jose asked about the word starter. It's the same idea, right? So again, starter, 2 syllables. Stress the first syllable. Your vowels are R, instead of or, now it's R, right? But everything else applies. It's the same steps. Everything else is the same, right? So, dud, R, starter, starter. Dud, R, starter. And then you can practice going from star to starter. But don't worry so much about the fast D sound. Worry about getting from vowel to vowel as you add it. Okay. So again, starter, 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 starter. Okay. You don't want to say starter. You don't want to say starter. It's starter. You don't want to say mortar. You don't want to say mortar. You want to say mortar. Okay. The other example we had from our very original question was the word portal. Okay. Same sort of idea here. Okay. The pattern again. So we have 2 syllables again. First syllable high in pitch. The second syllable weaker. The. Then after that, what's the next step? We want to add in our vowels. So we have or for pour, and then we have an o sound at the end. O. It's like or. Using a dark L at the end. Okay. Then we can add the first syllable. So thud, oral, poral. And now we can add the fast D sound. Thud, oral, poral, portal. And then we can practice transitioning from poral to portal. Okay. So poral, portal, poral, portal, poral, portal, poral, portal. Yeah. These would be my biggest steps for trying to smooth out that fast D sound so it's not blocking your breath and getting in the way. Guys, if you found that helpful, I do just want to talk about a new opportunity that if you've been paying attention to the channel, you may have seen, but maybe you haven't yet. I don't know. It is the Fluent American Institute. Yes, so for those of you who maybe are newer to the channel, you may like the things that we talk about because I promise you, no one else has talked about the things we do. And I think they really work. I'm very happy with the results with my students. They end up sounding much more natural than by just focusing on, what your tongue is doing, what your mouth is doing, because we're focusing on the core, the core sounds. But the thing is that you look at the channels I have, and there's like 2,000 videos. It's more than that. It's a lot. And you're like, man, what are like the most essentials? What are the biggest essentials I need? Well, that's why I've created the Fluent American Institute. It's a place where I've compiled the most essential videos and thrown a couple little fun extras in that they're given in a structured way. And then in addition to that, as you practice with the videos, we have a weekly mastermind where you meet with me and other members and we talk about the things you studied. Okay, each week we talk about different modules. So one week we'll talk about what are the modules. Well, the modules are sentence concepts like stress and reductions. We talked a little bit about that today too with like word stress. We talk about major American English vowel sounds. We talk about our core concepts like breath and placement and pitch and contrast. And we also talk about some problematic concepts, kind of like what we did today with the fast D sound. In addition to that, starting very soon, not this week, hopefully mid-January, we also have a conversation club that meets once a week from 6 to 6:30 p.m. New York time. The first 5 students to show up for that are able to practice conversation with our facilitator, who is McCall. She is not an ESL teacher. She is not an English teacher. Okay? She is just someone that wants to help you learn. And I think it's going to be great practice for you because not everyone you talk to is going to be an ESL teacher. So she's going to be a person that can give you an idea of, do I sound natural to Americans who are not prepared to talk to non-native speakers? This is excellent practice. She's very also, in case you're someone who's interested in business, numbers and things like that, she's someone who can help you out with that. That's related to her own work. You can see more on her bio here on the page as well. So right now, the Fluent American Institute costs $40 a month. However, if you join soon and use the code INITIATE, then I will let you get $15 off. So you'll pay only $25 a month for your first 6 months in the program. And honestly, I think you'll like the program so much that you want to stay longer than that. But hey, try it out and see. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, then what you need to do is you need to go to fluentamerican.com. And right at the top, we have our Institute tab. Or you can go to fluentamerican.com/institute. Thank you guys for allowing me to share that with you. All right, with that, I do have to run. But hey, thank you for spending some time with me. There is a lot of pronunciation resources out there. I'm very much aware of that. So the fact you spent a little bit of time out of your day here with me is appreciated. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Hope you guys have a good night and a good afternoon. Is that 2 flap T's? In which, for the word starter, you can use a fast D for the first one. You can use a true T2 if you want. The bigger fast T is going to be the second one, though. Good question. All right. I will see you all later again. Hope you guys have a good day. Have a good night. And a good